welcome to our second draw along. I am so happy to be here, and I'm even happier that you're here with me. As you know, every month I choose a different animated movie, and last month you may recall that our movie was Monsters Inc., a Disney Pixar classic. This month I wanted to go for something a little bit different, and so I reflected back on some of my favourite stop motion animation movies. And one of my favourites has to be this, The Boxtrolls. It's a movie by Laika, it's not Laika. And they are based in Portland, Oregon, as far as I'm aware. My friend actually worked on a couple of their movies. So I got lots of kind of sneak peeks. But anyway, another story. Boxtrolls, 2014. It's a wonderful, wonderful movie. If you haven't seen it, I would thoroughly recommend it. If you haven't seen it, do not worry, because the characters really lend themselves well to this approach of drawing that we're looking at. So I'll talk a little bit more about the characterization in just a moment. I'm going to do things ever slightly differently in this draw along. What I'm going to be doing is I am going to be talking you through a little bit about the principles of how we're going to design. I'm going to talk about colour theory, not in too much depth, don't worry. It's just a very simple approach that you should find easy to access, hopefully. That's the plan. And then I'm going to sketch out my character, and then we're going to start the draw along. I was watching back last month's draw along, and I realised there was a part of it where I was creating the character, but then I was rubbing bits out and starting again. And obviously if you're drawing along with that, that's a little bit annoying, because then you have to also erase what you've drawn because you've been drawing along with me. So I'm going to start off just by creating the character. And then once I come to lining the character, I'm just going to use this liner here, which is a classic Sharpie. Then the draw along can start, and you can draw along the character with me. I think that's probably the easiest way to do it. Now for today's video, I am using a Sharpie, which is a little bit controversial because as an artist, they're not the best. The problem with Sharpies is they're great in the first instance, but they don't last. Their colour doesn't last. So for example, if you're using this in a piece of artwork and you're selling it to a client, after a year, maybe 2 years, and you use black, the black kind of fades and it turns into like a browny colour. But for the purposes of today, for the draw along, it's absolutely fine. Yeah, so just want to kind of put that out there. Not the best choice, but they're quite a safe choice, I find. And I'm going to be using a pencil. I'm today using a 4B, but you can use whatever you have available. And I'm using a regular eraser, which I'm sure I will be needing. And I'll be using these awesome Faber-Castell colouring pencils, which I got from Jackson Art, and I'll put a link in this video description if you want to get some of those yourself. I'll also link these Sharpies, because these are the fine tip Sharpies. I'm showing the camera up here, and I'll show you the camera there as well. You see it's a fine tip. It's not like this one, which is like the regular Sharpie. Does that make sense? Okie dokie, right, and I'm also going to be, I've put timestamps in the video description as well, so if you want to go straight to the draw along, just scrub forward to the right time, and then I'm going colouring in, so if you just want, I'll put the timeline of how the schedule's looking, so if there's a certain bit that you want to go to, just go straight to that. Before we get going, again, I just want to say a massive, massive, massive thank you for being here. Your support is... I don't have the words to explain what it means to me. I think for anyone on Patreon, but just generally for artists, if you put something like this out there, and then people kind of buy into it, which is what you're doing because it's on Patreon, it's just like that little extra boost of confidence of what we're doing, and that people are prepared, you're prepared to spend your hard-earned cash in supporting me in the Patreon. So I hope we can have lots of fun with this draw along. I'd love to know what you think. And don't forget, once you've done your draw along, pop it in our Discord. I'll put a link in the description as well. Pop it in our Discord community channel. I don't know what you call it, a Discord server. It's my kind of chat room on Discord. I love Discord. Pop your draw alongs in there, or just your colorings if you're here just to do coloring as well, which is just good. Pop that in there. Pop that in there. Okay, right. I'm going to take a drink of water. And then let's crack on with talking about Boxtrolls. If you're not familiar with Boxtrolls, all you need to know is that they are the most awesome, cutest trolls that inhabit boxes. It really is that straightforward. And they have a little picture of the box because it's like they've kind of just stolen a box from a storeroom or something somewhere. And so up here we have fish, and this is shoe, because there's a little shoe and there's a little fish. And what is wonderful about this as an example of creating a character to join the Boxtrolls, we're going to create a third Boxtroll using these two designs, is that it comes back to that principle that I was talking about last month, where when you are designing your lead characters for a production, for a comic strip, for whatever it is you're doing, it's often the best way of doing it is to have different fundamental shapes, and that example is applied here. Let's talk about last month in the last draw along when we're doing Monsters Inc. Sully is like this big oblong rectangular character, and Mike Wazowski is like this tiny round character, so they obviously have these contrasting sizes straight away. And the same is here. We have fish, which is tall and thin, then shoe, which is squat and small. So fish is basically a rectangle. And what's really nice is because he's actually wearing a rectangle, and shoe is wearing a kind of rectangle as well, but on a different side. But if we take into account his whole overall proportion from head to toe, he's in a square shape. So our third character, again, like last time, we could go triangular. Here we could go circular. We could go really wide. We could go even taller. There's all sorts of different options. We could play with other size boxes, like a hat box or a hexagonal box. All sorts of boxes. Doesn't even have to be a box. We don't have to follow these rules that they are box. It just needs to be a character that sits in with them. But I'm going to put them in a box because I think it's cute. Okay, so that is what we are looking at with our third character to join the Boxtrolls. Okay, let's talk a little bit about colour theory. Now, the approach I'm taking with colour theory in this Patreon, in this draw along, is I just want to keep it super simple for you, because I don't want to overwhelm you with understanding colour or me trying to explain colour to such a deep extent, when the purpose of this is the drawing. So I just want to kind of cover it for you. You'll see on the worksheet, which I have right here, that I have just put 2 arrows on a colour wheel. Let me really quickly go through what the colour wheel is. We have, you probably remember this from school, the 3 primary colours, which are red. Oh, let me just, I'm going to just use another pen to make that a bit clearer so you can see it there. We have red, yellow, and blue. Now the principle here is on the colour wheel that makes a triangle. So if we look at all the blending colours in between, if you rotate this triangle anywhere, those 3 colours should work together as a colour palette. If we go kind of to the middle point between yellow and red, we get to orange. And then in between there we have yellow, orange, and red, orange. And the same all around the other side of the circle. So there's lots of different shapes that you can put into the colour wheel, and where the points are, that will indicate to you which colours work well together. So if we turn this triangle round, we could say that orange, green, and violet, purple, go together as well as a colour combination. However, you can also just choose areas of your colour wheel. So for example, yellow, orange, and orange would make a nice blend of colours within something that you're working on. There are no kind of colours that will stick out, so they make a really nice kind of soothing, lovely colour combo for you. You can also use opposites on your colour wheel. So for example, if you are creating a very yellow image and you want a colour to stand out but also complement the yellow, just go to the other side of the colour wheel and you would have purple. Now there's a really obvious colour combination with using this principle of using opposite colours, is when we have red and green, those are your traditional colours for Christmas. And so it's interesting that they are opposite each other on the colour wheel too. Other good combinations are orange and blue, so because they're opposite too. So what I've done, I've put an arrow kind of in the area of where the colours kind of lie within our two characters here. So kind of browns, but also oranges. Although they've got blue skin, if we just look at the colours of the box and the kind of the majority of the colour that we see presented in this character, we are kind of in this area, so red, orange. So straight away that tells me that to have a character that fits with them, a third character that fits with them but also stands out, won't blend in, will be its own character in its own right in a colourway, we should be looking at blues, any of these characters around here, for the main body of the character. Which is interesting again, because if we look at the blues, that's the exact colour that they have chosen when they were designing these characters. So the trolls themselves are blue. So that tells me that they were also using kind of colour principles to help design these characters. So when it comes to creating the colour of the box or the main body that the trolls are inhabiting, I'm going to go for a blue type of colour. And for the skin, the main tone, I'm going to go for an orange type of colour. I'm just going to go with the kind of opposites that we have here. Okie dokie. So that is everything that I want to talk about for colour theory. That is everything I want to talk about for designing our shapes. Now let's get on with designing the character. I don't know what I'm going to draw yet. I'm going in kind of cold. All I know is that I want to use opposites that we have presented here in fish and in shoe. So we're going to create a third box troll, but I need to make a decision what type of, sorry, is this light? I hope that light isn't too annoying as I move in my massive forehead illuminating the screen. And I hope you're not seeing too much of my hair either as I duck in and out. Apologies. Okay, so I'm going to go for a round box. And I mentioned hat box earlier because those are round, because you don't really get round boxes that are actually round. Although I suppose you do, don't you? Like a bottle of Chambord or something, like the round bottle. So I could actually have just a round box. Or do I want to go for hat box? I think I want to go for a hat box on its side with some holes in. And I think that kind of ties in with the shoe character having hats and clothes, not so much the fish. Anyway, okay, so I'm going to go for, let's just get the body, the main body in there. Now these two characters are kind of drawn from a 3D perspective because you can see the side of the box. So I'm going to try and emulate that a little bit. If I put my other circle just in front there, then connect these two. Just to give an illusion of like a hat box. And then we're going to have, so fish here has got a tall head, shoe has got a squat head. I think I'm just going to go this kind of medium, something like that. Going to talk about posing as well. Don't want to get too complicated, but I want to have a slightly different pose to the characters we have here again, so that if we put this character next to these, it it stands out, yet it is cohesive with the design. So I'm going to have, I think, a hand, arm coming here, and an arm here, but I want to have like a pose where the hands are going to be outstretched. I'm just literally just blocking in shapes at the minute. I'm going to go with finer detail in a little while. And what am I doing here? I think I want them on kind of tippy toes. The other leg here, and I actually want this arm. I'm going to bring the head more here, the arm here, and the other arm just a bit lower. Just quickly erase. I'll erase it in a bit more detail in a moment, but this is just fine just for blocking out. So I'm just putting in some kind of key lines on the face, just to work out where I'm going to put the eyes, where I'm going to put the mouth, the nose. Give him an upturned nose. Put some eyes over here. Really big grin, just like. And let's pop some ears in. And I'm going to give this one a little kind of ponytail. Now they have 3 fingers. And the general pose is just going to be fingers stretched out wide. And they've got lots of bandages. I can't remember why they've got bandages, or if that's part of the storyline, but they wear lots of bandages on their feet. I'll try and do something fun with the toes there. The toes are exposed. It's got 3 toes as well. Okie dokie. So I'm check that's still recording. Good. Okay, so now I'm going to go in with a fine line, and let me just try and make this a little bit clearer, because I realise I have scribbled all over the paper. Okay, so I'm going to start the draw along now. So draw along with me. Watch this on slow motion if you are able to on your YouTube. But you can rewind and watch back as many times you want if you're kind of missing. How did you do that? What are we doing there? What line are we doing now? You get what I mean, hopefully. Okay, so let's get drawing. So I'm just going to start off with the very forefront of the hat box. So I'm just going to do the circle. Now the Boxtrolls, their boxes are quite battered, so I'm not going to worry about anything being perfect or any sort of perfect circles. so don't worry, basically. And this is going to be the lid on the front of the box. So let's just draw the lip of the lid. Come around there. Obviously this is in 3D, I'm just drawing it on this side. Let's complete the rest of the circle. So there we have like the main box shape. When I come to put a bit more detail on, I might even put a little bow or something on the front. But the front is going to involve some sort of imagery, so probably a hat here, just like fish and shoe. Let's have a look at the face. So you can see they have like little like dog-like noses. So let's. And their teeth. And their eyes. So the eyes are just going to leave a little bit of white to make them look wet, so it's a little alive character. Just going to draw a bit of cheek underneath the eyes and then complete the rest of the eyeball shape just above. And she is very happy, so let's do some big eyelids up here. They do have very dog-like faces, these little Boxtrolls. So I'm not sure how familiar you are with stop motion, but the puppets that you work with, well, it depends on lots of things, but generally because it depends on what part of the movie you're shooting from. But anyway, generally the puppets for these movies are like this big, so quite a substantial size, and it's such an art to be able to animate in stop motion. When I was animating 3D animation, kind of like Pixar. So I had a virtual puppet in space, in an environment in space that I was working with, and because it was digital, if I made a mistake, once I looked back at one of my shots, if it wasn't quite working, I could go in and fix it on that particular frame. But when you're working in stop motion, you can't go back and fix it. If you mess up, you have to do it all again. And when I was at Aardman, they were talking a lot about the expert stop motion animators. It's like they feel the force, like Star Wars. Like you just know what you feel, so instinctive about how to move the puppets and the speed and all those sort of things that you need to create. It was incredible. It blew my mind working with them. It was amazing, and we were actually working with the puppets from Pirates. I don't know if you've seen the Aardman movie Pirates. I don't know what the full title is. Pirates. And yeah, the puppets are huge. It's like you're working with really amazing toys. It's like the best toys you ever want to work with, and yeah, it blew my mind. The craftsmanship and the talking. The craftspersonship of the model making is insane. It's beautiful, absolutely beautiful. Little ears, I was starting to think then, what's this character gonna be called? Because like last time, I like using the information that we have in the design to help tell us a little bit about the character and what they should be called. But we've got this name already because it's a hat box, so we know there's a hat, so this is called Hat. This is Hat the Troll. Hey Hat. Hey Hat, how are you doing? I'm good, thanks. Good. Oh dear, I'm not super pleased with that wrist. I think I can get away with it. Eek. Kind of freestyling a bit this hand now. Hands can be really hard. A good way of dealing with hands, so you have your two joints. You have this part of the arm, the top arm. I don't know what it's called. Femur. Or was that a leg? Anyway, the upper arm and the forearm here, and you have a wrist. So you need to kind of consider these parts of the anatomy. And then for a hand, a good way of doing it is just for the palm, just get a square in, and then feed the fingers off that. So you see, I'm just redrawing these again. Hands can be really difficult to draw. That's okay, not too bad. Just pop in a bit of palm there. And let's have a look over here. So that's the forearm. We've got the wrist. And I'm just going to redraw my square for the palm. So I think these fingers have gone a bit weird. I'm doing the fingers, trying to emulate the shape of the fingers here. So they're quite, with their fingers, it's like the end of their fingers are bigger than that part of the finger. This part is bigger and wider than this part of the finger. Very technical talk, as you can tell. Some little hands. Now let's look at the feet. So they have very knobbly knees. So let's pop her knobbly knee in. And their big toes. They have big toes in the middle. I want to say like a camel. Was that right? Like a big middle finger. Draw a little toenail on. And then I'm just going to do kind of just general crisscrossy shapes around the foot. So it looks like a bandage. Something like that. It's the same over here, so let's do the knee. And it looks like their bone is exposed on their kneecaps. They have different coloured kneecaps, and it tends to be where the joints are. So pink joints. So I'm just going to add that kind of detail in with my pen. So you can kind of really do that with colour, but it's just nice sometimes to accentuate that with add a couple more teeth up here with the liner that you're using. Okay, so I'm going to add some detail now to the box. I'm going to make the box look a little bit battered just by doing this effect of kind of lightly moving my pen along the page. Sometimes it touches, sometimes it doesn't. And that's kind of the effect that we're after. Just make it look a little bit aged. And let's look at these. Oh, let's look at the neck. So neither of these characters have necks. The implication is that their neck is inside the box. But let's give this one a neck, why not? Well, that begs the question, how did it get its head in the box? But let's not worry about that today. We don't need to worry about that just now. That can be character development. That can go to the next department. Okay, and I want to put some, I think I want to put some stripes, oops, some stripes on the box. And so let's just draw a circle within. So these boxes have another shape within. So the outline of the rectangle, there's another rectangle inside it. So let's just add another circle into the middle. Again, not being too precious about the circle shape. A little bit more oval-like, but that's okay. And so now I'm going to draw a hat. What type of hat? Well, I guess it has, well, it could be a top hat, or it could be like a lady's bonnet. Like they would have, because I think, if I remember correctly, this movie is actually set in Victorian times. I'm pretty sure it's Victorian. And so the clothing would have had to reflect that. So as I'm racking my brains, realising I didn't research into the hat shapes you found in Victorian times, I'm just going to go for a regular top hat, because I think that's a safer bet than the style of the fashion that's worn. Oh, okay, let's keep it simple. I'm going to go for top hat. So something like that. In the middle there. You can obviously put in any type of hat you want. Just add in some kind of extra detail. Try and make it look a bit aged. And I'm going to thicken this line up here, which is the lid, just to give it an illusion of kind of some sort of shadow going on there. There we go. So I am now going to spend a bit of time erasing all my pencil work, and then we're going to move on to colouring. So yeah, I'll probably put this on speed up so you don't have to watch me rub out all this line work, pencil work rather. Okay, let's look at colour. Oops. So, as we said right at the start, the main kind of box colour for the trolls is kind of this orangey brown. So the box is going to be mainly shades of blues, and I might pop in a little bit of purple as well. So kind of just use this area of the colour wheel. For the skin, the Boxtrolls are predominantly blue, so I'm going to be using oranges and reds for the skins. Probably not red. Kind of used red last time for our last character, Angelica from Monsters Inc. So I'm going to go maybe orange and a little bit more yellow. So let's start with a kind of a somewhere between an orange and a yellow. I'm just going to use a lighter colour first, and then I can work into it a little bit more with a darker colour. So let's colour. Okay, so that's the base of the skin done. So I'm going to go in with a darker orange to kind of do the darker areas that are in shade. I might add a few browns in as well. I think I'm going to do orange hair, like the darkest, because here they've used like a darker blue and like a grey type of blue. So using accent tones and colours from the main skin colour palette. So I'm going to do the same here with my orange. And now I'm going to go in with another darker tone. So I'm going to use some browns just to help add more depth. So particularly around the eyebrows, the base of the hair, and the areas that are kind of in most shade. So you probably noticed me going in on top of the yellow with orange for the parts of the body that are almost in the box. So it's like they're in shade, in shadow. The detailing on the Boxtrolls with the kind of ears and the nose is pink. So I'm just going to just emulate that in hat here. And the lip. Let's go in and do the interior of the mouth. So I never like using black when I'm using very dark areas in an image, for example, shadows and like the interior of a mouth, because those things are never black. Obviously you can use it in cartoons. If you want to use black, by all means use black. But I like to use a very dark colour. Say, for example, very dark purple or dark blue with a bit of brown in it. I think it gives it a little bit of life, gives it a little bit more interest. So I'm going to use purple, which I'm going to deepen by going over with a bit of brown. Because I'm not sure what this purple will look like for the mouth. It might be okay, but just to kind of give it a little bit more depth. Rather than just having a purple mouth. If that makes sense. Now, I want to darken up these corners. I know I just said I don't use black, but I'm going to very lightly go in the corners of the mouth. Just go over with black. Just help darken the original tone a little bit. So I'm just pressing very lightly and kind of just towards the edges a little bit. Cool. Okay, so let's look at the bandages. Bandages are bandages. They're kind of off-white, beigey, creamy grey. I don't want to go too off-piste with that because after all, they're bandages. So I'm just going to use a grey and just kind of go over. So we've got a bandage in the hair, holding the hair up. And I'm just going to kind of just go over some of the lines. I might pop a bit of yellow in as well, but a lighter yellow to what I've used in skin tone, just so we have a bit of variation. I'm not sure about that yellow. Let's try. Yep, that's okay. Just add a little bit of extra tone. Okie dokie. So, look at little hat here. I want to use a tiny bit of purple, I think, just around the eyes, just to darken the kind of crease part of the eyes around here. Just give it a little bit more shape, a little bit more definition. Trying to avoid it looking like eyeshadow. But I suppose a Boxtroll can wear eyeshadow if they want. Not sure where they'd get it from. And just kind of help define these creases a little bit here. And I'm actually going to use purple whilst it's in my hand. Just do the little detail around the toenails. Just subtle. And on the knees. And a little bit in the tips of the fingers. I'm just putting some around the wrist as well, just to give a bit of contrast and a little bit of kind of interest from the joint, from the main hand, the palm of the hand through to the forearm. Okay, let's have a look at the... I really don't like my illustration of a hat. That's not for us to worry about right now. Let's have a look at the box. So again, the box is here. I'm kind of using this colour, this section of the colour wheel. So I'm going to go into greens and blues. But I might put in a bit of red just to have a little bit of colour interest. We'll see. I'm going to start off with some blues. I'm going to have a light blue and a dark blue, alternating colours on the stripes on the hat box. And I think I'm going to use light blue as the kind of lid, the lip of the lid rather. Oh, what's going on there? Have I got... I think my paper. I'm using a heavy paper as well. Not that you can use whatever you want. But I think there was like a bit of rubber left under that was kind of making a impression on the paper. Don't want that, do we? No. Okay, whilst I'm there, I'm just going to add some extra shading. So I want to give the illusion that this lid part is bigger or has a bigger circumference than the main box. So there's like a shadow. So we're imagining that the light source for this image, we don't need to worry about lighting, but just to pose a context, I suppose, the lighting is coming from this area, and so there would be a shadow effectively. So I'm just going to take a darker colour and just go over over the colours that we've already put on to give an illusion of shadow. Let's darken up the bottom a little bit as well, and go into the lid for that as well. The lip, rather, the lip of the lid. There we go. And now for the main body, the front of the box. I think I'm going to go dark blue on the outside, and maybe like a, although they've gone red on the interior section, if we regard that as our interior section. So they've kind of moved right around the colour circle, so it could even go purple. I think I'm going to do this interior section purple, which will also echo nicely the purple that we've already used. So let's just go around this in a blue. I always try to make the lines that I'm colouring echo the shape of what I'm colouring. So for example, here I'm colouring a circular shape, and so the strokes that I'm using with a pencil kind of curve around like this. I'm not going in any old way, like crisscross. Just so all kind of the little details like that help elevate the image, I think, and also help give a better illusion of shaping and depth. Oops, sorry, my watch is banging on the desk. I think I'm going to do the interior circle in a light purple, more like a pinky purple, and the hat I'm just going to colour in probably a dark blue. Something like that. Let's go into lighter. I'm going to try this kind of pinky purple. I'm just going to very lightly colour because I don't want it to be super dark. But I might echo around the edges of this inner circle. Just to kind of darken this area. And the top hat, I'll do in a kind of a dark blue. I'm just going to do a base colour coat with this, the colour that I already have. And I might leave the band around the base of the hat, the pink colour. Just making the edges just a little bit darker. Okay, let's just have a look at these holes here. So I'm going to go in with a dark blue, then I'm going to go over it again with purple, maybe just a little bit of black on top, just to really sell the depth of these holes where the arms are, and the head and the neck. Though, who knows how it got its head in there. Where's my black? Oh, put it back. Oh, stabbed myself in the hand. Maybe they have magical heads that just like change shape and can squeeze through the hole. Okie dokie. Let's pop a little bit of shadow underneath this foot here. So I'm going to use a purple. And where the shadow kind of contacts the actual foot is going to be darker. And then as we move away, the shadow is less. But if we said the light source is over here, probably don't have much shadow here, but I've done it now. That's fine. Let's make that a bit bigger. What now? I think I'm going to take a brown and I'm just going to go around the box just generally to try and age it a little bit, because these boxes are Victorian. I don't actually know if they had blue hat boxes back in Victorian days. Never mind, let's not worry too much about that right now. Just to age it a bit, so where they have kind of the aging details, so they're using darker lines, darker colours, I'm going to try and emulate that feeling here. So I'm just going to get a darker colour, any colour you like, whatever colour you want to use, just to kind of age it all up a bit. I'm going to go with the shadows as well with this brown. And also kind of makes it look a bit dirtier as well, because these Boxtrolls, they're not necessarily super clean by any stretch of the imagination, because they are living I think they live underground, if I remember rightly, because they take the boy who is their adoptive. So the story of Boxtrolls is this Boxtroll here, Fish, adopts a human boy. And the boy is a Boxtroll, but he's a human. And he's called Eggs, if I remember correctly. If you haven't seen Boxtrolls, you have to see it. It's such a brilliant movie. And the animation is just incredible. So good. Okay, I want to put a bit of pink in her cheeks. Ah! These are going everywhere. Stay. A little bit of purple just inside the ears, showing a little bit of the ears getting darker. There we go. That is our Boxtroll. We have created Hat, the third Boxtroll, that are going to join these two characters in their animated adventure. I hope you like it. Thank you so much for joining me. Like I said, please, please, please pop in your drawing, your colouring in, your creation. Perhaps you've decided to draw a different character using the principles we talked about here. Please pop them into our Discord server channel place, Discord. I'll put a link in this description so you can make sure you have access into Discord. It'd be so lovely to have you and to share your artwork. Next month is April, so that is Easter. So there are 2 animated movies that I'm thinking of for us to create a character from. They're Easter themed. So in the next couple of weeks, maybe mid-March, I'm going to put a poll onto Patreon of 2 movies that I've whittled the options down to, and I'd like you to help me choose what animated movie we focus on. One of them is stop motion. One of them is just a kind of, I don't want to say cartoon, 3D animation. So along the lines of Pixar. It's actually DreamWorks I'm thinking of. But anyway, I will put that in. I'll put that details about that are coming soon into the Patreon. So let me know what you fancy drawing, and we will do that for April. Thanks so much for joining me. I can't wait to see what you come up with. Make sure you share it. If you're not in the Discord, maybe just do it on Instagram or add it as a comment to one of the posts on the Patreon. But yeah, have a brilliant whatever you're doing today. If you're in the morning, have a great day. If you're in the evening, sleep well. Have a great tomorrow. Go well, and I'll catch up with you all very soon. Thank you so much for joining me on this draw along. And here is Hat, the third Boxtroll. Thank you very much for joining me. I'll see you soon. Bye. Take care. Lots of love. Bye.